What is up, everybody? My name is the Osnator, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Good Ol Wrasslin, but really a special episode because it's the Wrestlemania episode. Here with me is fellow cool kid Rome. What's up, Rome? How's it going
What's good?
today?
Good, Austin. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you on. My other co-host Shifty will probably be here soon, depending on what's going on. But yeah, WrestleMania 40 years. WrestleMania 1985, I believe, the first WrestleMania was, and now we're in the year 2024, and a lot of changes. WrestleMania became this was big, and then it became even bigger over time, and it's gotten longer.
Yeah.
It went from maybe the typical 2-3 hours to 5 hours at one point, and it got so bad, and because of COVID, 2 nights, which I feel is kind of ideal, especially if it's gonna be that long. It's nice to have a little reprieve. So, 40 years. Actually, since we're talking about 40 years of WrestleMania here. Rome, what was your first WrestleMania that you watched? Either on pay-per-view or even in person, if you ever went.
I wouldn't say a pay-per-view, but my first one, I would think, I'm trying to remember. I think it was I don't remember, it was WrestleMania 8. It was one of the WrestleManias where it had Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental title. That was my first introduction to wrestling when I was like 6 or 7, where like they had this promo and they were building up to their match. My dad was a big wrestling fan, so I got a chance to watch a lot of like stuff that he recorded. I would say like I think it was WrestleMania 8. It was one of the WrestleManias where Hulk Hogan and versus the Ultimate Warrior, because Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan were like, this is like the early '90s where Ultimate Warrior was like this massive thing, and Hogan before he left the WCW was still that big guy as well. So I remember that's my first like just my WrestleMania like moment, or just something watching on TV as a kid. I think I was like 6 or 7, but I mean, I grew up as a big Hulk Hogan fan. I knew who The Undertaker was. I played the video games, knowing who Shawn Michaels was, Bret Hart. Just that '90s golden age of wrestling that I remember mostly growing up. And then WCW grew bigger with Hulk Hogan going there, and the NWO stuff blew up, and just the early '90s into the late '90s was just wrestling heaven for any wrestling fan. And then the Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff, which blew the roof up, because there was never a character like Stone Cold Steve Austin that I've ever seen before, and the amount of stuff that he was doing and getting away with, you never saw on TV.
Oh, absolutely. Lots of fun stuff during that time. You could tell how young I am because I think the first WrestleMania I saw live, or no, not live, but on pay-per-view was WrestleMania 28.
Oh,
uh,
nice.
which was ironically 12 years ago. Um, and I think that was the one with Rock and Cena in the main event with Taker, Triple H, Hell in a
Yeah,
Cell. That was really cool. And actually, I got to go to a WrestleMania live. Um,
nice.
I actually went the following year at 29 because it was in New York. So it's kind of one of those things where now I can say, hey, I went to WrestleMania. Um, so it's a lot of WrestleMania memories for me. Like, I mean, a lot of great. I am so. It's really actually really nice to be able to experience like a lot of these WrestleManias live. Like, I mean, I think like some of my favorite matches from WrestleMania recently, like I said, Triple H, Undertaker, Taker, Punk.
Hmm.
You even have like Daniel Bryan having his crowning moment and at WrestleMania 30.
Hmm.
You had AJ Styles like having his string of WrestleMania matches with like Nakamura, Taker, Orton, like all that stuff, and getting like just being able to witness the rises of all these like guys, and seeing guys that even like I've seen like in NXT, and like all like just being
Right.
able to say like I got to witness some of these guys, and now like a guy like Kevin Owens, like from like I watched in NXT as well as Sami Zayn, and seeing how they struggled, over the last few years, and seeing them main event WrestleMania together, I thought was like, whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So I think like WrestleMania like is very like it's like one of those times of the year where like it's very fun to be a wrestling fan because there's so much like there's a lot of excitement usually because sometimes there are years where it's like, oh god, like it's WrestleMania season. Because like especially when NXT Takeover was running alongside WrestleMania, and like the night before you would have like a really good NXT Takeover show, and then you followed up with WrestleMania. It's like but once they started doing 2 nights, it's when it started to feel okay. I like the little reprieve because there was one year, I think 2019, where it was 5 hours, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so long. And
Mhm.
it's when it's on a Sunday because then you have school the next day, and it's like, oh god, do I really have to sit here for 5 hours and watch wrestling? Especially 2019 WWE. God, that was horrible. Being like, I was in the trenches at that point. So it was, but WrestleMania though, like over the last couple of years, especially like after last year when Triple H had more control over it, like it started to feel very special. So I think this year is going to be very, very interesting when it comes to um a lot of the matches in WrestleMania itself because they're like because I think like me and Rob have talked about it is I think the problem with WWE right now is it's kind of predictable where it's very
Yeah.
still, very stagnant. But I feel like this year there's a lot more. I think there's going to be a lot more surprises and a lot more of a WrestleMania feel.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I agree. It does feel like WrestleMania 40. Even though we're excited, it still has that painted by colors. Like you kind of have an idea who's gonna pull out this, who's gonna win out this, who's gonna do this. Austin, what's your favorite WrestleMania? Like, whether the one you watch, one you doesn't matter if you saw it on TV or just experience it live. Do you have like a favorite WrestleMania? Um,
Hmm. I mean, if I'm going to go by recency bias, I'd say 39 was really good.
mm,
Um, but as far as like my favorite of all time, because it's really tough because I can go with the bias, say 28, because that was the first one I
yeah,
saw. I could even say WrestleMania 29, even though that wasn't very good. Because I went to it live, you have that like feeling of, oh, this is cool. Favorite WrestleMania. I mean, of course I can go the stereotypical answer and say 17 or
mhm,
19, but
yeah.
I think I'm gonna go WrestleMania 21, I think
Okay.
21's up there.
Oh,
Um,
21 was great as well. I mean, because I remember watching 17 and 19 when those happened. It was just like 17 is still my ultimate favorite because that card was just stacked and everybody stole the show. Like there was no disappointment with that card.
oh, yeah.
Even the hardcore match with Big Show versus Raven and Kane, that was like oh shit kind of moment. And the ladder match with Hardy Boys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian was just amazing. And then top it all off, you had The Rock and Austin who just like blew the house off with the built up the promotion and just how like to this day that match is just unbelievable. 18 was another WrestleMania 18 was another one that I really enjoyed too with the Hulk Hogan versus The Rock. And the built up to that. That was The Rock and Hulk Hogan stole the whole WrestleMania with living up to icon versus icon.
Oh, yeah. No, oh, that match is so good.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about that WrestleMania is Saliva did the Triple H theme and not Motorhead, which I thought
Yeah.
was really strange. Um, but it actually wasn't a bad Mania. I will say it's not as good as 17 or 19. Like I do
Yeah.
think it's a little underwhelming at points, especially the main event, which was even the main event wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. It was just when you're following it up with following it after Rock Hogan, it's very difficult for because the crowd was dead at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I remember from that match is that the whole point of that match was like, okay, Triple H has been out for a whole year. He just came back a few months ago. The whole buildup is like he's gonna win the titles, like he's gonna have his comeback, and that's really the whole thing. Like it was a very predictable match. You just knew
Yeah,
that Chris Jericho, who held the belts for a while, I don't know what it was, but he just wasn't doing it for WWE anymore. Like they gave him a shot as being the guy, and it just didn't work. And I think that was the last time in years. I think it was the last time he had the heavyweight or world championship belt. It took, I think, 5 or 6 years before he actually had another title run again.
yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was something like that. I think it was like roughly like 6 years after that he got like the world title again, but that was like way after
yeah,
the fact. So it just a lot of like really cool stuff with WrestleMania, and
mhm,
this year being night one, night two, it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be very interesting. Um,
mhm,
there's also like a lot of other stuff going on this weekend. You got the NXT show that's happening. You have the ROH show, which I'm probably not going to see because it's just like I think the problem is like with the ROH show is it just there wasn't a lot of advertising for it, and also like I didn't even know it was happening until like a week or two ago, and I was like, really? Like, and also the Hall of Fame is tonight, so I feel like more people are going to be talking about the Hall of Fame and SmackDown and just everything going on. So
Yeah.
But NXT show tomorrow. I was thinking about doing predictions for it, but I was like, like I
There's
don't
just so much going on tomorrow. This whole weekend has so much wrestling. It's just right now. I think the biggest thing is just WrestleMania 40.
Yeah, that's the main thing we're gonna be talking about. But we're also gonna be talking about the CM Punk interview with Ariel Hawani and more so like the AEW stuff, because I feel like the like what he was talking about with AEW, I feel like is it's kind of telling, I think, because it's a lot of it is stuff that I think a lot of people have been saying, like a lot of the dirt sheets have been saying, a lot of fans of AEW are saying. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but I feel like we need to cover the main show, WrestleMania 40. A lot to talk about. I'll probably just divide it in like as like night one, then we'll talk about CM Punk, and then we'll do like night two, because that
absolutely.
Spacing. So I'm gonna run down the show here. I'm mainly just gonna run the show as like matches that are like, you know, here and then to like the main event, like ideally. So the first match we'll talk about is the LWO, which is Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee taking on Santos Escobar and Dirty Dom. I think this match might be good, but it's one of those matches that feels very like weird and just feels like they kind of had to have this tag match to put Dragon Lee and Dom on the show. Like this, I feel like it would have made more sense, and I actually would have liked it more if it was a Santos Ray one-on-one match, especially since they've been for it. I don't know if it's because he's hurt. Oh, here's Shifty. What's up, Shifty? You actually just caught us talking about we were actually starting the predictions side of things.
Yeah. Hey, sometime we need to get this schedule done.
No, I apologize. Today was just kind of a hectic day, and
that's
I got
fine.
stuff going on, so I apologize for more of the last minute type of thing. But
yeah, I just think maybe the night ahead, maybe we could. Yeah. That's all right. I'm fine.
But no, how's it going, Shifty? Like other than the haphazard.
Yeah, everything's going okay. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good, Shifty. How you doing, Rome? By the way, nice to meet you.
Hey, what's up? First time talking to you.
Before we really get into the show, again, Shifty, what was the first WrestleMania you saw? And what was your favorite WrestleMania like of all?
My first was either 7 or 8. I think it was 7 I saw first that I rented at Blockbuster, because that was around the time I got into wrestling, 1991. The first that I actually ordered and really got into was WrestleMania 8, because I had to save up for that, and that was like $35. So that was like 2 months allowance almost, or even more. So, I was really hoping it was worth it, because I had never ordered a full price pay-per-view before. I had ordered the This Tuesday in Texas that happened, I think the November before, and that was only $4.95, but this was full price. So I was like, have my fingers crossed everything was going to turn out. I wasn't crazy about the ending of that main event. It kind of didn't go off. It didn't go off right with the Ultimate Warrior trying to run down to the ring. But yeah, WrestleMania 8 is probably my favorite still, just because it was the first I really had to save up for, and I was looking forward to.
Okay,
sweet.
And I know this ages ago though, so
no, it's fine. But no, that's pretty cool. I kind of like that. It kind of goes against like the stereotypical answers like 17, 19, like those types of manias. So that's cool. I actually like that.
Yeah, 9 the next year was massively disappointment. It was
Oh
that
god,
was that was such a letdown, and I had to save up for that one too. And I was a huge Bret Hart fan, so I was They made up for it at WrestleMania 10 though, but
Oh yeah, they did. So we are starting to cover the show here. The first match we're talking about is the tag match with Mysterio and Dragon Lee against Escobar and Dom. I think it's just one of those matches that just feels like it should have just been one-on-one, but it feels like they kind of forced in Dragon Lee and Dominic so that way they were on the show. I think it'll probably be a really fun match, but I feel like it's going to be one of the. This one I think is a tad predictable. I think they're going to have Dom and Santos win here, so that way they could kind of keep the story going between Santos and Ray and like Dom, and they'll probably end up taking Dom out of Judgment Day and putting him with Legato. I think that's where they might be heading with this. That's kind of my prediction right now, as I think it's going to be Ray and Santos and Dom's going to get the win. I think they're probably going to have Dominic pin Ray, I think, just so that way they could keep maybe to keep the thing going, and then maybe they could do another rematch between Dom and Ray, or maybe they'll do Santos pinning Ray. There's a lot of ways they can go about this, but what do you guys think in terms of the match?
You're not wrong, because I thought the same thing with Ray versus Santos, because they've been building up the two of them going back since I think November when Ray had that fake injury just to get him out of the story for a little bit. Like that's what I thought they were doing, and then they decided to have a Ray versus Escobar match 2 weeks ago, and it's like what? So it just feels like Dom being in there because they like you said they need him to do something. They need something for Dragon, and it's a tag team match. That really it's just there's no investment in, because you kind of put these two guys with Escobar and Ray together, and it's just like I don't know, it just feels like another typical SmackDown match. I do think that Dom and Escobar, I think Escobar is going to get the pin. I think right now Escobar and Dom needs that momentum. They're big heels right now, and I think for Escobar, he really needs that push to move up to that next level, and I think that he's the one, or Dom, whoever it is that pins Ray or Dragon to get that momentum and to move forward with whatever story or whatever they do next.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Shifty, what did you think? What do you think?
Well, you know me, I'm mostly the guy that follows through clips on Twitter. I don't really watch the show as much because I don't have the time or I can't stay awake. So I didn't really see a lot of build up or promotion for this match. I'm just now catching up on some of these lower card stuff. And I know Shadows also said that he's picking Santos, Escobar, and Dominic to win, and y'all make a great argument for them being the winners of this match. But the way I look at it as an outsider, I haven't heard much about Dragon Lee, and that's surprising because when I used to watch New Japan, when Kenny and the Bucks were there, and he was wrestling dude with the red hair that was with forget what I forget the name of the group. It's 4 or 5 years, but Dragon Lee was wrestling quite a bit back then, and I thought he would be a pretty big acquisition for them, and I haven't heard much lately. Now he's on WrestleMania card. I picked them because I think that since I haven't heard them do anything with him much, that maybe this would be a moment for him and Ray. But they gave Ray the win last year, so I'm probably not right on this one, but yeah, Dom and Santos probably would win.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna stick with Ray and Lee though, because like I said, I haven't heard much from Lee, and I from the outsiders or casuals perspective, I think they need to give him just a little push somehow, but it's not going to extend the storyline as much as putting Dom with Santos going off that way, because the Judgment Day is probably going to wind down here pretty soon too. So
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, because my predictions actually for the tag ladder match. It might be like pretty much a common theory, but I'll kind of explain when we get to that. But speaking of other tag matches here, we got Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi taking on Damage Control, which is Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. This is more or less just going to be a showcase match for Jade, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like all the women there are mainly going to do all the heavy spots, and they're going to have Jade not play it safe, but I think they're going to have Jade kind of like get the hot tag. She's going to get the win for her team. I think ideally they're going to have Jade, Bianca, and Naomi win because it's Jade's like first real match, and it's on WrestleMania, and they want to make Jade into a huge star.
They have to.
Yeah. And maybe they could set up
they have to
later down the road, maybe. But
after as much hype as Jay's got, they have to.
Yeah. I mean, my expectation
for the match. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, as much hype as Jade's had coming in, they have to give her the win. They just have to because, I mean, it's been like what 6-7 months of just her posting pictures of her like flexing her muscles on Twitter and stuff. That they're like, how long is it going to take to give her a debut or just a squash match or something? I mean, it has to happen at WrestleMania. I mean, I'd be shocked if it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last 7-8 months, obviously they had to have her go through training at the developmental center, really making her understand that the stuff that they do at WWE versus AEW, really making sure she's going to be, really just getting her to just be better with her craft as a wrestler. And I think, now they're going to finally, it's like Austin said, this is like her homecoming party, her debut, and just show just how great and how strong, how much of an impact she's going to make on the women's division. And it's just something for Bianca and Naomi and Damage Control to do. I'm not sure how much Ahsoka is going to be involved in this because I know there's been a story that she's been injured out there. So I don't know how much she's going to be involved in this match, but I expect it to be like a 10-minute, maybe less, 10-minute match. I think it's all about Jade Cargill just doing Jade Cargill stuff and maybe have a moment with her and Bianca Belair because that's like for a fan matchup, that's the matchup fans want to see at some point at a WrestleMania, the two of them going at it.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm thinking too. It's just going to be a basic six woman tag match where Jade's going to get the pin, she's going to get the hot tag, they're all going to do their spots. It's going to be a quick, painless match, I think. That's my expectation for it. And let's get to like the last like real like tag team thing till the main event. The 6-man ladder match. We got the Judgment Day, DIY, Awesome Truth, New Day, A-Town Down Under, and New Catch Republic in a ladder match for the tag team titles. I think it's going to be another thing where like last year where they had the tag team showcase match. It's going to be a showcase for all the tag teams, and it's going to be a very fun spot fest, I think. And I do believe in the theory that they're probably going to split the titles here because there's really no reason to keep them unified. If you're going to unify them, then they should have had one set of belts and not just keeping the two. So I think they're going to split the belts up, and then they're going to have, I think Awesome Truth's going to win the Raw tag belts, and then, I think they're going to do a thing where R-Truth's going to be like, look, we won, and then Miz is going to look at him like, no, get the other set, and then another team's going to grab the other set, and I think, ideally, they're going to have a SmackDown team win the belts, because if you're going to split up the belts, because Awesome Truth are on Raw, they're going to win the Raw belts, and then they're going to have the SmackDown team win the SmackDown belts, so I think it's one of those really weird, I feel like this might be a catch here, pun intended, but I think Awesome Truth are going to win the Raw belts, and they're going to have Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate win the SmackDown belts. Especially with how much Triple H has been kind of showcasing them most recently. I feel like it would make more sense. I would be cool with a DIY winning, and maybe there's a story if you want to have Austin Theory and Grayson Waller win them, but like New Day, I don't think is going to win the belts because I think New Day are at a point now where they don't really need the belts to be popular. They're already popular without them, so I don't think they're gonna win them. But I feel like Judgment Day are gonna lose the belts, but they're gonna lose them to Awesome Truth and New Catch Republic. What do you guys think?
Ron, I think I like Awesome Truth, but I also like DIY as well. I kind of want to see DIY win the Raw belts. Yeah. And I do like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller winning the SmackDown belts. I like you said with New Day. I think New Day is just going to put over the other guys because they got to split these belts up. They really need to build. Triple H really needs to focus on building the tag team division back up because it hasn't really been where it's at in years. And I think that it's really important that they split them up. One for SmackDown, one for Raw. For me, I hope DIY wins the one for the Raw, and I hope Austin Theory and Grayson Waller wins the SmackDown. I expect it to be a good match. This has potential to really surprise people. I'm hoping the Hardy Boys, I'm a minority, are not involved in this match in some way because, look, they're past their prime. They just don't have it anymore. They really don't. I mean, if you watch some of the stuff at AEW, they're just not there anymore. They just don't have – physically, they just can't do the things they can do 20 years ago. They just can't. And it's like, if anything, they should just be celebrated for their careers.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just catching up on some of these matches, and I didn't know like the build up for this or the theory that they were going to split the belts. And that's just something that Shadow also brought up in the Twitter thread. I had only picked Waller in theory because of all the tag teams that I see in the algorithm on Twitter for WWE. It's Waller in theory, and it's Awesome Truth. That's the only tag teams I've seen in recent months that they promote. So those are the two teams that I gotta go with here, just for the casual fan. So the one's SmackDown, one's Raw. So if they go with that theory, I think that those will be the two that ends up winning it. So I think it adjust my picks because I didn't know going in, that was maybe the plan. So.
Yeah, I think the reason why I think the theory, because realistically, if you're going to split up the belts, this is the time to do it because this is probably the easiest way to just be like, all right, we're splitting the belts again. So that way, because if you try to do it again, like after this, it's going to be very overly complicated. And then they're going to be like, oh, well, no, we got to. I think this is just the easiest way that way. So they don't do the vacated thing again, or they don't have to do this overly complicated, silly thing. Like this is probably the most straightforward way to do it, which I'm perfectly fine with. So if they go down that road, I think this will probably be the time to do it. So that's kind of where I'm at. Next is a match that I think could actually, there's a couple matches on the show that could potentially steal the whole weekend, and one of them is Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Despite all the drama that happened during this build, because everyone wanted Chad Gable to, go face Gunther, which granted I was kind of on that side, but realistically, prior to this year, they did not do a really good job at setting up Chad Gable to be a legitimate threat against Gunther, especially when they had him go back to being a jokey character. I really wish they had him kind of be a little bit more serious during after the Gunther thing. So maybe I would be more okay with it. But but I'm okay with Gunther, Sami Zayn, because one, Gunther hasn't faced Sami Zayn before, and two, you have two really good workers here, and I think they're going to work a really, really good match here. As far as if I think Gunther's going to drop the belt here, I do not think Gunther's going to drop the belt. I think I would be okay with either or, but I'm kind of under the camp that I feel like they're going to do something I don't know if screwy, but I think they're going to have something where Gunther is going to beat Sami Zayn, and they're probably going to have Gable be built up to beat Gunther either at SummerSlam or Bash of Berlin. But I feel like, because with all the drama especially, I just can't see them having Sami Zayn win, especially when Sami Zayn right now, he's already held the IC title 3 times. He's already had his WrestleMania moment. I can't see them wanting – I don't think they're going to go back-to-back here. I think Gunther's going to retain. What do you guys think?
I think that Sami Zayn's going to win. I think mean, first off, I think you're right. This has potential to steal night one, or maybe steal WrestleMania as a whole. These are two great mechanics in the ring, and I love Gunther. I love watching this guy work. I love his promos. This is a guy who I'm like, I want to see him to that next level and then start competing for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's part of the reason why I want Zayn to win, because I want Gunther to take a month off and then start coming back to build up for SummerSlam to wrestle whoever is the World Heavyweight Champion, whether it's Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, whoever it is. I just think right now he had 600 plus days as the Intercontinental Champion. He's done a great job building up prestige. I think for me, it's like it's time for him to move up to be in a main event level, and that's where he needs to be going next. He's already, to me, he hasn't been in that main event status yet, but we've seen teases of it, and I just want to see him to really. He has that main event aura with him, and it's like it's time for this guy to move up, move on up to compete for the World Heavyweight Championship. I do think that this could be the match that will surprise a lot of people. Right, very similar with what happened last year with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stealing the show last year. So I just see these two really, just really like surprising people with how good the matches are, and I'm sure they both have something up their sleeves to really surprise the fans.
Yeah.
I could see Chad Gable interfering, just because they're going to protect Gunther. Because once you lose that belt, it's like he's moving on to the heavyweight championship competition to that next level. Because this guy right now, I mean, he got there in the, just being in the main event, just being in the roster, he's just been taken in by storm. He's just, especially with his time in NXT, being the guy in NXT, he's now the mid card guy. It's time for this guy to move up and really start, being in that main event status right now. That's where he should be at.
I do agree with Gunther needs to be in the main event.
Yeah, I agree with most of what Rome said. It's time for Gunther to move up, and I think it's time. Zayn's probably going to win because I mean, what does Sammy have after this? I mean, Gunther has him going off and challenging for a main event title. I mean, it's time for him to do that. Sammy needs this. I think they're going to give it to him. And if it wasn't going to be a match on night one, I would think that maybe there would be a cash in from Damian Priest, because there's been some rumblings that he may challenge for a mid card belt, which I think I don't know, that would be interesting. But I'm still questionable on Priest and if he's main event just yet, and if they would give him a title run if he cashed in. So, but if it's night one, I mean, it definitely Zayn's going to win. I don't think there's going to be a cash in. So, it's time for Gunther to move up, and I can't wait to see him, mixed up with the big boys. If it's Reigns or Cody or Seth or we already seen him go up against McIntyre, and that was phenomenal. That last year at WrestleMania, him, Sheamus, and Gunther, that might have been the match of the show. Either that or Rhea and Charlotte. That was like my two top matches last year. So it's going to be a fun summer. That's all I can say.
Just to add as well. I remember there was a moment before I think CM Punk came back where you had Gunther interacting with Seth Rollins for a little bit. Yeah. There was a little bit of a thing that they were maybe built up title versus title match at WrestleMania 40 before obviously plans have changed, but so they have kind of teased in it. Like you said, they teased him around other main eventers. So I'm really hoping he drops the belt, takes a month off, comes back strong for a SummerSlam.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. All right, let's get into this match now. The Battle of the Usos, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Another match that has potential to either steal the show or not, because these two guys have similar movesets. It's going to be very interesting with all the counters and all the fun stuff here. I have a suspicion, there's two ways they can go with this. One, they can have this be a one and done and have Jay win, and then maybe do a reconciliation with Rikishi at the end. or if they're gonna try and extend this somehow and have this match or have this feud go on a little bit longer and have Jimmy win. I think I'm leaning more towards Jay winning here because I feel like Jay needs the win a little bit more. Well, actually, see, this is tough because I think both guys need it. I think Jimmy, to an extent, I think needs it more, but it really comes down to what they're doing after WrestleMania. So I feel like this one's kind of a shot in the dark, but I think Jay's going to take the win here because I feel like Jay right now kind of needs like that big win to like further cement himself as like kind of like he's out of like the bloodline shadow type of thing. So I think I'm going to have to go with Jay here taking the win. What do you guys think?
I like Jay as well. I do think there's gonna be a lot of drama around this match. I kind of can see Solo popping in, trying to do something. Maybe Rikishi gets involved in some way. I know it's tough because I feel like Jimmy needs it a little more because Jay has really kind of got his own thing going where Jimmy hasn't really had that win to really show he can be his own performer without being part of the whole Usos.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I'm leaning more Jay just because I feel like Jay's gonna get it somehow. But I also think that there's gonna be some kind of like brotherly love type of thing after the match is over. So it could, I don't know. I just feel like there's gonna be something more. This is a match I'm paying attention to more from a drama side because it could lead into something with the tag team match with Roman and with the Bloodline versus Cody and Seth Rollins. I do feel like that could be something that's cooking over there.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one. I again, as a casual fan, I've seen way more of Jay promoted from the outside looking in than Jimmy over the past year. And I don't know how you turn down seeing the crowd celebrate with him, with his little dance after the match. But yeah, I don't know. I think Jimmy needs to win more. And they have, I think, a couple of guys that's coming in that's going to maybe be with the bloodline. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have another brother that's signed recently with the WWE.
He's either
they do.
signed or he's just signed.
Okay, and they also have I've already blanked on the name because it's been years since I watched New Japan, but one of the guys from Guerrillas of Destiny in New Japan, he signed with WWE, and he's kind of with the bloodline because he was the adopted son of Haku.
Mm-hmm.
So he could potentially wind up in this match. I think we may see a debut of one of those guys at WrestleMania, maybe. I don't know. I think Jimmy needs the win because I've heard so much about Jay as a casual. So I think it's a tough one. I think it could go either way on this one.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Jimmy though.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the second to last match of night one, and that is for the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Now, Rhea stole the show with Charlotte last year. I think she and Becky are going to do the same again. I think ideally, Rhea is going to retain here because I look at it as Rhea, I think, needs this win more to sort of elevate her title reign because, let's face it, her title run really wasn't that impressive. She faced women like Zoe Starks, like Nia Jax. No offense to those women, but she really needs that big marquee win at WrestleMania to really cement herself as that next. She already is big as she is, but I think she needs that win to make her title run feel special. So that way you say, "Oh, remember Rhea's title run where she beat Charlotte and Becky Lynch in back-to-back WrestleManias?" I think that would be a big thing for her. And plus, Becky also doesn't really need it. She had the belt several times. She had several title reigns that lasted over a year. I think Rhea Ripley getting this, I think, makes the most sense, and I think it'll do more in the long term. What do you guys think?
Oh, 100%. I agree with you. Rhea should retain. She is the I'll say it this way, she is the guy or the girl in WWE right now. She's the face of wrestling right now. Or we think female wrestling. She's just Triple H and the stuff that they've done for her. They've done a phenomenal job making her like the top star in their business. And it's just like she's like the Brock Lesnar of the female division. You built her up as this really dominating force, and it's like there's no reason for Becky to win this. I feel this is more Becky giving back to the business, and I think her contract's up in 3 or 4 months. So I feel like she's just there to really help build Rhea to be this dominating character, and giving it to her too, like just making her as a much bigger and badass wrestler stars that she is. And I'm excited, and I like watching Rhea. Rhea's been awesome in the ring. She's great with the promos. I mean, this is a star. This is a star who I don't think WWE's had for the female division ever. I mean, she's just her own thing. Like, yeah, you got Charlotte, you got Monet, you got Becky, you got Bailey, you got some other ladies as well, but none of them have been like what Rhea has been for like the last year and a half, or almost 2 years. Like, she's just been this new thing that no one's ever seen in the women's division, probably since China. I don't mean compared to China, but just that's the person I think of. If I'm going to compare somebody to her, it will be someone like China. But yeah, Rhea wins this, should win this. I won't say easily, but I would like to see this be a really good match and really try to steal the show.
Yeah, the comparisons to China are justifiable, and I think she's even better in China because she's a total package. She's good on the mic. She has insane crossover appeal potential. I within the next year or two, I think you're going to hear them trying to get her into like some TV shows or movies, because you just look at her and you see a star. I don't think I've seen anybody with that much potential in a long time at WWE. And I really think that she is even above Cody. She's the face of the WWE right now. I mean, I've seen.
I agree.
I think she's above Cody right now because, like I said, I'm a casual, and I see way more of her. Well, for obvious reasons, when she's doing like stink faces and stuff. I mean, she's going to get more traction on social media, but she's great. She's great. She's a great wrestler. She's great image, great personality. The sky's the limit for her. She's going to win definitely, and I think Becky, she's going to put her over. But Becky, I don't think she's going to go somewhere else. I mean, her contract may be up coming up, but I think at some point for Becky this coming year, we're going to see maybe something with CM Punk and Rollins, and they may pull their wives into it as managers or something, because people want to see AJ Lee back in some capacity.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be that CM and AJ feuding with Rollins and Becky. So we may see that at SummerSlam. So Rhea is going to get the win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And let's get to the final match of night one here, and that is the tag team main event of night one. The Bloodline, aka the two-man Samoan power trip, The Rock and Roman Reigns taking on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. And it's a tag match where if Rhodes and Rollins wins, all members of the Bloodline are barred. And then night two, if Rocks and Reigns wins, then it'll be under Bloodline rules. I feel like with what they're going for and what they're building up towards, I think ideally The Rock and Roman are going to win here, because realistically, The Rock is not coming back to main event night one and have him lose. I just can't see them have Rock not taking the fall. Because realistically, The Rock or Roman's not going to take the pin on night one. I just know that. The Rock and Roman are not taking any pins whatsoever. And I think they're going to ideally have The Rock pin Cody or vice versa, because the more I thought about it, it's like, well, they're not going to have someone pin Seth before his match with Drew McIntyre on night two. And plus, someone pinning Cody will probably have more of an implication there. So realistically, and plus, if we're going to get a rematch between Roman and Cody, I think they're going to want to have a stipulation involved. So that way, it'll make it a lot more interesting. So I'm realistically, I think I'm going to go with Rock and Roman.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bloodline's going to win this. I do think, keep in mind, The Rock said no Bloodline will interfere in this match. Doesn't mean somebody won't interfere. I would say watch out for Drew McIntyre or maybe a Jey Uso just showing up and interfering in this match. I think it was this last Monday Night Raw where like you saw in the background Drew McIntyre talking to Paul Heyman. So look out for that. Where like you get, I think Drew McIntyre. I feel like it's more Drew McIntyre than Jey Uso, but I feel like someone's going to interfere in this match because one, they're going to try to promote for a night 2, especially Drew versus Seth Rollins. I feel like Drew McIntyre is going to have some kind of interference in this where like Roman Reigns is going to get the pin on Cody, reliving that experience from last year, getting people like, talk about more about what happened last year, really kind of built that more drama going into night 2. So Bloodline wins this. I think it's going to be a fun match. I think The Rock's going to have a fun time being the heel. And I got a feeling Mama Rose is going to be involved in some way in this match because I just can't see with The Rock like keep hyping up Mama Rose and all this road and not really do anything with her being there watching her son get his ass kicked all over the place. And it's been fun watching the Final Boss Rock. They pivot, but they pivot in a way where like The Rock's having a great time being the heel. You can just see it on his face.
Yeah, Rock, man, he's been cutting some career best promos on Twitter. Not so much on TV as on Twitter. That the freedom he has on social media to cut them promos, those 10-minute promos. I mean, he's been on fire lately, and honestly, I think he's really carried this main event, at least for the casuals. But man, I don't see there's any way but the Bloodline winning this first match, and I do think Mama Rose is going to come and play. I just have been thinking about all the possibilities of how they would make this interesting because I mean you can't just have them just a basic tag match. Something's got to happen.
Yeah,
I think with the rumblings that Seth could backstab Cody at some point, I think he's not going to be much of a factor in the match. I honestly think they're going to take him out early to where he's not there, and they're just going to put the beat down on Cody. And with Mama Rhodes probably sitting in the front row, along with Rock's mom, who sits there every pay-per-view in the front row on the set side you can't see, with Rock's daughter sometimes. I think there's going to be some sort of thing going on to where that he just the Bloodline just puts the beat down on Cody in front of his mama, and you may even see some harsh looks between Rock's mom and his mom, and they just I don't know. I think it's gonna be pretty fun. They're gonna have some elements in it we're not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Seth turning on Cody thing, I don't even think that would make any sense. Because
I don't either, but I just think that they will take Seth out so they can't put the beat down on Cody.
Probably.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Whether it be a McIntyre or maybe the Bloodline attack him like before the match, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like McIntyre is going to be that one that's going to interfere because, they're having their match in night 2, so it's got to be like the two of them. It's got to be something where McIntyre's taking Seth Rollins out, where it just becomes, like you said, a beat down on Cody Rhodes for night 1, where like I said, I think Roman's going to get the pin on Cody on night 1 just to relive what happened last year in WrestleMania 39.
Now, question: do you think Cody is going to blade during any of these matches? Like he's actually going to bleed?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. I know we were going to talk about the CM Punk interview, but because of time constraints, we're just going to get into night 2. If we have time towards the end, we'll talk about it, but I kind of want to just cover WrestleMania first before anything. All right, so we got night 1 covered. Let's talk about night 2 now. First match, The Pride, which is Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits against the Final Testament, which is AOP and Karrion Kross in a 6-man tag team Philadelphia street fight. I just expect this to be a fun brawl. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Realistically, I think they're going to give the win to Karrion Kross and the AOP because I mean, realistically, Bobby Lashley kind of already had his WrestleMania moment, kind of when he was the champion, and also the Street Profits. Like they've had a lot of countless things, so I think they're gonna want to give the win to Karrion Kross and the AOP mainly because the AOP just came back, and I think Karrion Kross is kind of starting to start to go up the ranks a little bit and start to be elevated. So I think realistically, I think that the Final Testament's gonna get the win. What do you guys think?
I agree. Final Testament is going to get the win. Karrion Kross is going to get the pin. He needs a push. He had a bit of a push last year, then he got hurt. So it's like they're starting back over. So he really needs this. Bobby Lashley, I think he's there to just really help put Karrion over. And I mentioned I like the Main Street Profits. They haven't really worked, in my opinion. I don't know, just nothing really with them really clicked. They're a good tag team, but they just don't know what to do with them. I mean, them winning this, what do they gain out? What do they gain out of it? It's just really nothing.
Yeah.
Again, as a casual, these guys, both teams, for me, zero traction on social media. Zero. I've seen zero from either to the fact that I don't think I've ever seen Karrion Kross actually wrestle. That's how much traction he has on social media. And when Scarlett, they show a picture of Scarlett, and like WWE does like their weekly, like who took the best social media photo this week. She'll be up there and be like, whoa, who is that? I don't know her. What? So yeah, I'm just picking the people I know in this one. So it's Bobby Lashley and Street Profits, but maybe because I don't know the other team that those will be the ones that they give the win to. I don't know. I don't know any of these guys. Well, I know the Street Profits because I used to watch Raw, but yeah, I don't know. That for casual fans, I think they need to do better about spreading the love around to some of these lower card superstars because you just don't see much from them.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, let's then get into LA Knight versus AJ Styles, a match that's only really happening again just to have these two on the card. I think this match will be good because I know AJ Styles can work and I know LA Knight can work. I think LA Knight's going to win here because LA Knight really needs that big win to sort of kind of get back on track because after the whole thing with Roman last year, he's kind of cooled down a lot. And when I mean cooled down, I mean he's kind of like frozen right now. I think LA Knight needs to win more than AJ because I mean AJ said himself he's close to done anyway. So I think he's just kind of here to just put over the new talent, which it's kind of where I started to get the feeling of like a couple years ago where after he had that really lengthy title run, I think AJ right now is just kind of wanting to just put over the new talent, give back. And then when he eventually retires, it's going to be a big deal. I think LA Knight's going to get the win over AJ, and maybe AJ will bring back his Evil Ways theme, or maybe like some sort of like different theme, because apparently they said that AJ's getting a new theme at WrestleMania. So we'll see. But what do you guys think?
Like I said, I think LA Knight's going to win the match. I'm a big LA Knight fan. I love the fact this got a huge push. He was created by the fans. I think purposely he's been kind of buried. I don't know, it's because like he sounds like The Rock a little bit, and I think The Rock being back, they just kind of put him on the back burner. But he still gets his pops when he's actually doing live stuff. You see fans with his T-shirt, so the fans are still there. It's just the fact that he's on night 2 and not night 1. I'm actually happy to see that he's still being thought about. So he needs a signature win. It's his first WrestleMania match. I think after this match, once he gets that signature win, maybe they start doing more with him for post WrestleMania. Maybe he'll be one of the 3 people that they pick to really give another big push, big run. I wish he was on that triple threat card with Logan Paul and Kevin Owens, because this guy needs at least some kind of title, some kind of U.S. title, intercontinental title run. Give him something, because this guy is really. He was created by the fans, and the fans really love this guy. This guy has a lot of like charisma, great promos. They got to do more with him after WrestleMania.
Austin knows that he knows I'm not a huge fan of LA Knight, and I'm not going to get into that. But he does need the win on this, and plus AJ and him go back a while because I think they were both in TNA years back together. So yeah, he's definitely going to put him over. And and plus, man, can we point out how big AJ is now? Like, size wise, like what's up with that? Yeah, but yeah, I think this is clear cut. Knight's going to win, and he's probably going to. I could see him definitely winning the Money in the Bank contract this year because the fans are behind him. I may not be, but I think it's probably time to pull the trigger on him because he's not getting any younger, and he definitely needs, if they're gonna push him, they need to do it this year sometime, and with the possibility that of Rollins still having a belt or Priest or Gunther, they're not huge stars. They're not like somebody you're going to protect like Roman Reigns, so I can definitely see him cashing in and actually winning. So yeah, I think the future looks bright for him this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, good stuff. So now the first of 4 championship matches, we got the triple threat for the U.S. title: Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. Logan Paul is going to retain. Enough said. I mean, realistically, Randy doesn't need it. Kevin Owens realistically doesn't need it. Enough said.
Yeah, you're right. Logan Paul is going to win this. It's like I said with the LA Knight, like he should be the one wrestling Logan Paul. At least there'd be more. There's more something there for their match where it just feels like Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, they just have nothing to do, and it's like let's just have the 3 of them in a triple threat match for the U.S. belt. It's kind of sucks because I would have loved to see Randy Orton with Cody Rhodes and that whole bloodline story because that made more sense. But yeah, Logan Paul is going to retain. I think part of the reason why they're having this match with him going against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens is because they want him to keep having that title on him because he does a great job with his social media accounts and other stuff that he does promoting the WWE and the U.S. title belt. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, not to mention they're stupidly putting his energy drink logo in the middle of the ring. So, he kind of has to. That's terrible. I mean, we went like 50 years without a graphic in the middle of the ring, and they're doing it for Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, at least put the WrestleMania logo in the middle of the ring or something, but not and if they do advertising, they need to do it like New Japan did, where it's a lot of logos, small logos around the ring, not one big, huge, freaking energy drink logo for some guy a lot of people doesn't like. They think he's some idiot from YouTube, but I mean, well, he is an idiot from YouTube, but I mean, yeah, he's definitely going to get the win. He needs it more than Randy and Kevin Owens. So yeah.
I mean, I like Logan Paul. I like that he's a heel. He's done a great job since he's been in WWE. He's really created some good moments. The stuff with him and Ricochet and a little bit of stuff with him and Roman Reigns. I mean, he's done a great job really getting people to hate him even more. And I just think that he's done a good job really, being in the position he's in right now. He surprised me a lot.
And with his brother having a fight with Tyson coming up, I wouldn't doubt we'll see those two maybe in the audience because that's on Netflix, isn't it? That fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Raw's on Netflix, so I think there's going to be some cross promotion for that.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, let's get to the women's title match of night 2, Io Sky versus Bayley. Another match that has a lot of potential to steal the show. And I think because these two women have a lot to prove, because a lot of people on social media were very upset, and I would even say some of the wrestlers were upset that Bayley and Io Sky were not main eventing either night, which is understandable. Because you won the Royal Rumble, you main event WrestleMania, but realistically, I just think I think the problem is there's just too much of I just think the circumstances involved just wasn't going to happen, because even if Punk didn't get hurt and we still got Rock and Roman, I don't think it would have main evented night 1 or night 2. But I think but I really hope that maybe next year moving forward, they start to emphasize more women main events on like night 1 or something. Cause that way it's a lot more fair, I think. But with that being said, I think both women, are going to tear the house down. Realistic, I think they're going to have Bayley win here because I feel like they're gonna give her the win here to give her big WrestleMania. Like I know she retained the title at at a couple WrestleManias, but I think her winning the belt here is going to be almost like a thank you for helping carry the women's division during COVID and basically just to give her flowers, which I think is absolutely deserved because I think out of all the 4 horsewomen, she is probably the most selfless when it comes to like putting people over because during her feud with Bianca Belair, like I think like a couple years ago, she should have won, but when she first came back with Damage Control, she should have won, but she put her over. She put Bianca over, which and maybe in hindsight now, I actually do agree and understand because it made Bianca into a bigger star. But I think Bayley winning here, I think is going to be a nice kind of nod to her and just as like a thank you. And I think it's going to be a good match. What do you guys think?
I see Io Sky winning this. I think Io Sky is going to surprise. Everybody wants Bayley, but I think the heel needs to win this match. I think that Io Sky's done a good job really with the women's title. She really needs this. I feel like more than Bayley does. She's talented wrestler, and I think it's good for the media and marketing when she retains for China and some other international markets. Still retain the belt at WrestleMania and really kind of spread the WWE more globally. That's part of it. But I think that she's done a good job as a wrestler. I think that you need a heel to win this match more than Bayley. Fans want Bayley, but I think Io Sky wins this. She could win. I don't want to see her win it by cleanly, but I feel like you're going to have somebody from Damage Control interfere in this match. There's got to be some kind of stipulation where she's going to retain the belt.
I think Bayley's going to win. I think they're building towards her and Dakota Kai. I think that's what we'll see in the coming months. I don't know. I like you said, Austin. I don't think this would have ever main evented, even without everything that was going on, because Io doesn't have the it factor that Asuka had. She don't have the persona Asuka had, and there's a language barrier, and I think that would have prevented them from really promoting the match and getting the hype up for it being a main event level match. I like her though, but I don't. She's not on the level as Asuka or even Kyrie. I don't see her keeping the title here. I think Bayley. People's pushing for Bayley, and I think it would be a terrible moment for her not to win with all the fan support she's had. And like you said, she carried the women's division during the well, from what I heard, because I didn't watch it during the pandemic era. But yeah, I think it's her time to get the belt and face Dakota, because Dakota's had a rough time too, trying to get established on the main roster with injuries and stuff. So I think they're going to move away from Io. Maybe she could easily sub for Asuka or Kyrie in the tag team part. So I think Bayley's going to win.
All right, good deal. All right, let's get into what I presume to be. This match is either going to be the first match of the show, or it's going to be like towards co-main, and that's going to be Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. So this one, I can see it going either way, but I realistically think Drew McIntyre is going to win the belt. Whether there's a cash in or not, I think they're going to want to give Drew his moment. Plus, Drew McIntyre right now is on fire in terms of like this new persona he has. And I think him winning the world title at WrestleMania will be the ultimate feather in the cap for him. As far as Damian Priest is concerned, I just can't buy that he's like going to be a world champion, because throughout his reign as like during his Money in the Bank tenure, he really hasn't done anything with the briefcase. Like he hasn't even, like, all the attempts he's made to cash it in, he's made to look like a joke, and the times where he should have maybe cashed in, he doesn't cash in. So no matter what, I think it would be more like, I know, like, I don't want to use this again because the last time they tried to do this, it didn't work. But I think Damian Priest like cashing in on a mid-card title, I think would maybe make more sense. And maybe that way could kind of give Damian Priest a little bit more time to build himself up as more of a credible star. Like, I'm not saying he isn't, because I know he can be. But right now, Damian Priest needs a little bit more oomph to him. So I think McIntyre's going to win. If Damian Priest cashed in, it's probably going to be a fail. What do you guys think?
I think McIntyre's going to win, and then his moment's going to be stolen with Damian Priest cashing in, and CM Punk's going to be a special guest referee for that cash in, and Damian Priest wins that match, that cash in match, and CM Punk stole his moment. I do say this though, Drew McIntyre hasn't signed a new contract, so WrestleMania is like his last supposedly it's his last time in WWE. So I don't know if they renegotiate his contract like the way they did with CM Punk, where like you re-sign here, we give you the belt. So it could go either way. But I do feel like Punk is going to have some kind of play in stealing McIntyre's moment.
I could see McIntyre resigning because they just announced Clash at the Castle is going to be in Scotland. So okay. I could see McIntyre resigning, and that probably might have been one of the big things like that McIntyre wanted when he resigned. So I could see McIntyre resigning here.
Wow, that's some booking there. Wow, CM Punk being guest referee for the cash-in. That would be neat if it happened. Yeah, well, before I get into that, just for I'm filling out the questionnaire here. Austin, do you think Damian Priest will cash in at any point during WrestleMania?
I think he will, yes.
Okay. Will he be successful?
No.
Okay. And I'll record your answers to Rome when I go back on and do this on Twitter. So you think he's going to cash in at any point during WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Okay. And will he be successful?
I think he will. I think he'll have a moment.
Okay. I go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if my memory serves. Has anybody lost their cash in at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I thought so. I don't remember if there's anybody with the memory.
Yeah, I think Sandow, he cashed in. Was it Sandow, Austin?
Gotta be Sandow. Yeah.
Yeah, Sandow, yeah.
Yeah, I think, there was several people that didn't get the successful cash in. I think, I don't know. I picked Seth, but honestly, I think I may change my pick on that. I got to realign my picks. I did it. I just threw them down when I was setting this up. Drew makes more sense, and especially with what Austin said about Clash at the Castle being in Scotland, it's got to be Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I think too. And then lastly, let's get into the main event here of night 2: Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes 2 for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, more than likely under Bloodline rules. Unless something happens night 1 where there's no Bloodline interference, which, by the way, there will be Bloodline interference no matter what. I'm going to say this right now. This is going to be the most overbooked, overstuffed, it's going to be the most clusterfucked main event of all time, I think. Because the amount of interferences, the amount of, it's just gonna be a clusterfuck. Cody Rhodes is gonna blade probably 95% sure. Rock will probably blade on commentary. There's gonna be a lot of chaos during the main event. And with all the drama going on and with all this buildup, I cannot see Cody losing here because they are really laying it on thick that they're having Cody basically, he's fighting from down deep, I think. And I think right now is probably the best time to do the changing of the guard and have Cody win, because I know we've talked about it, Shifty, about they can stretch it out, but I feel like I think there's a difference between stretching and dragging, I think, and I think they're really dragging their feet here. I just think I think Cody right now needs to win, and I think it'll benefit everybody more in the long term if Cody wins. So I think Cody's going to win. I think as far as interferences go, I do think we're probably going to see The Rock interfere. Whether or not Rock turns on Roman or not, because I feel like with the way that they've kind of set it up on TV, I just can't see The Rock turning on Roman. Nor do I think Seth's going to turn on Cody either, because if Seth turns on Cody, it would basically make Roman look like he was the right one all along. Like, Seth's the one that's basically he kisses his ass. Like, I know I was like, oh, but they were in the show together. But realistically, but it just doesn't make any sense. And also, I know that there are rumors that Austin and Cena might come in and like interfere and help Cody with it. This is going to be just a really clusterfuck main event, regardless. I just see Cody winning here. I just can't see them swerving here and having Cody lose. Because if you have Cody lose, you're going to have a massive backlash. You thought The Rock coming in and stealing the main event was going to cause a backlash. This is going to cause fucking backlash. So I just think ideally Cody's going to win here.
So I'm 50-50 on who's going to win this match. Cody, in his interview with Ariel, also said he found out before he got pinned by Roman Reigns in the match last year. So I feel like it's 50-50. I think it's up to Roman Reigns if he wants Cody to win this belt. It's because I want to see Cody win, but at the same time, Roman has mentioned on his AE biography that came out last week that if he gives up the belt, he's retired. So that's the other thing too. Like, so there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, what's going on behind the scenes? Is it Roman who just doesn't want to give the belt up, or what's going on here? Does Nick Khan have to write 10 more zeros? Like, how many zeros does this guy need to give the belt up? That's kind of where I'm at, because I like Roman. I think since 2020 till now, he has done his best work ever in the company and as a professional wrestler. Like, the guy has really, he is, he could put him on, he is the defining 2020 era of top 3 great wrestlers right now. Like, he's just been that phenomenal. Great promos, great everything. And part of me doesn't want to see him lose the belt, but part of me wants to see Cody win it. So I'm leaning towards Cody winning it, because I feel like you can't have Philadelphia throwing batteries, but I do feel like it's going to be overstuffed, like you mentioned, Austin. Like, I think that, Solo's going to it's going to be Bloodline rules. Solo's going to come out, do something. John Cena's going to come running out for payback. Somehow The Rock has something to do with whatever happens to Cody. Then Steve Austin comes out because it's WrestleMania 40. Fans want Austin Rock, at least some glimpse of it. So we're going to get that. It's going to be really, it's going to be, like you said, overstuffed. And I don't know if everything's going to work with whatever they got planned. I think Cody will win it, but I don't know if it will be like, I don't know how they're going to be able to do it to make it more memorable than just having it just a straight up Cody versus Roman Reigns and this Cody wins, But right, I got Cody winning it. I just don't know how he's going to win it, but I got Cody winning the belt. Finish the damn story so we can move on.
Yeah.
This is man. I want to see Roman win. I think Cody's going to win. Austin and me have talked this up, and he's seen me posting for months on Twitter about this. I'm under the belief that if they give the belt to Cody, that's 4 years wasted in pushing Roman to that one last career achievement that he kind of needs for the people that really give him shit and don't take him seriously, to surpass Hogan in September. I think he kind of needs that. I don't think they're going to give it to him now, unfortunately. And like I said before, they can have Cody finish his story. I don't know if they've announced where Survivor Series is yet. The Garden is the place where the story began by denying Dusty Rhodes the title decades back. That would have been a great place to finish a story if they decided to keep it on Roman and push him towards that moment in September. But there's just so much going for Cody right now. I don't see, especially with how we booked night one, I don't see how Cody cannot win. And plus you've got the 2K marketing about finish the story and stuff. Cody's definitely going to win it. And I think maybe even you might see Hogan, even though he's not as popular as he once was. I think you may see he be one of the guys that runs down just to say, I got to save my position there, brother. So, yeah, there's going to be some run-ins. Definitely. Yeah, but I think Cody's going to win it, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really torn on this because I think Rock's carried this whole thing throughout, and maybe
Yeah.
he shouldn't have been involved, but he's the guy that's carried WrestleMania on his back, and I don't know if he needed to. He probably didn't, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that I've talked to that don't know who Cody Rhodes is. They don't see him as being on the level to where he should be facing off against Rock. That those are casual people. It's like Anzo and people they don't know. I've talked to them and Danny, and they don't really understand why he's up to this position. They don't know about him going to AEW and stuff like that, or starting AEW. But yeah, I think they got to give Cody the win here.
Yeah, I feel because I mean I agree with you. The Rock has pretty much carried this whole build by himself. I mean,
Another thing. Sorry for interrupting you. I think here's something that they could be a sign that they give it to Roman. He's been overshadowed this whole entire time by Cody and Rock. I don't think he's had the presence, like I said, as an outsider, a casual person watching this stuff from, clips and stuff. They don't really show Roman's side of it. They don't. They just show the Rock, the Rock promos, and they show Cody answering his, responses. They don't show Roman in all this, and it's his title, it's his position, it's his match, and they're overshadowing. So I think maybe they might give it to Roman. I like I said, I'm torn, but I'll go with Cody.
I think the problem is with Roman being overshadowed is one, he's rarely showing up for this build. Like a lot of it is more the Rock is coming out weekly, whereas Roman isn't. And also, and I think someone said it best, when you're in there with the Rock, it's really easy to get overshadowed because the Rock at the end of the day is the bigger star than Roman Reigns because he's the blockbuster star. The casual fans know who he is. It's Roman being overshadowed. I do agree is probably more it could be intentional, but I just think there's a lot of factors right now where it almost feels like Roman. I feel like it's really easy to be overshadowed because I will say that when The Rock first, started doing the final boss thing, it almost felt like this, oh, it's the same Rock shtick. Oh, he's doing the Rock concert. Okay, he's a heel. Cool. But the last 2 weeks is the Rock that we should have been seeing throughout this entire build. We should have seen a more serious, more aggressive Rock, where he's the final boss. He's I like that. I like that it's more of a nostalgia thing right now, where it's the Rock. He's bringing back the $500 shirts. He's wearing the sunglasses. He brought back the Hollywood Rock theme. He's doing the Rock concert, doing the promos and the shtick. But when we saw the WrestleMania 40 conference or the media scrum where they had the Rock and Roman and the Cody and Seth face off, where we see it the Rock and he's not doing any jokes, he's actually in this more serious demeanor as you stole my main event from me, now I'm going at I have to evolve into this and you made me into this type of thing. Now and then when they did the whole Rock thing where he's going out doing the Rock concert, which was fun, but we needed to see more of the Rock that we've seen the last 2 weeks. And when we saw the Rock from the last 2 weeks, this is the Rock we should have gotten, from the start. Yeah. And the Rock has absolutely killed it. But it just right now, it's just it's so weird because I agree with you. This main event can be 50-50. I think because at the end of the day, and I view it as this, right? I will always respect Roman's run from the last, I would say when it first started in 2020 to about roughly beginning of 2023, because I will not, because I've seen a lot of people try to discredit him where it's oh, Roman hasn't, here's why I'm going to say I'm going to disagree with that a little bit, because if he didn't turn heel, people would remember Roman as this guy that was shoved down our throats, overrated. He wore a laser tag vest, said, suffer and succotash. where now I think people will kind of differentiate him from Cena, where Cena just didn't change at all. You have a Roman who took what didn't work and developed this character and made him into almost must-see TV. Now, I agree the repetition of Bloodline interferes lull. It got old after a while, but it's what this title reign has done for Roman, and because I know all the Roman stands are like, oh, we want Roman to be champion forever. No, listen. I'm not going to discredit his run at all, because without this run, his character would have just been flat, nothing. Like, he has really elevated and evolved into a star. Because it almost like from when he first came in 2012, it's like, he was kind of going up with the Shield, and then it's like, then the popularity started to dwindle after that. And then it's like, you have the brief moments, but they're just downhill. Whereas the Tribal Chief gimmick, it went up here, and now it's just kind of here, because it's very, very, it's right. I think it's just one of those things where it's very stagnant, where it's very difficult when you know what's going to happen in every match. I think Roman being the champion, I think, because realistically, no matter what, Roman's going to main event WrestleMania with The Rock anyway. So realistically, belt or not, he's going to main event WrestleMania next year. And technically, I think he is breaking the all-time WrestleMania main event record, I think, this year, because he's main eventing both night 1 and night 2.
Yeah.
Already right there, that's impressive. Well, impressive, because realistically, have you seen his matches with The Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania? God, that was bad. But I'm not going to take away from what Roman has done over the last 4 years. 4 years. He has done a lot. And plus, he helped elevate talent that really needed it. Look at where Sami Zayn was before, the Bloodline stuff. He was really just in the mid-card, nothing. Sami Zayn went from a mid-card talent to being like a big, big-time star. Like the Usos, they were great, but when the Usos did the Bloodline stuff, they went from being just a tag team to they were one of the first tag teams to main event WrestleMania. That's big. And he was putting spotlight on guys that really needed it, like Cesaro. I'm not saying that they did anything with Cesaro afterwards, but Cesaro being put in that spot against Roman Reigns was a big deal. Just like, guys like Finn Balor needed being put in that main event spot. And, him and then Roman having some of the best matches of his career with guys like, hell, even Brock Lesnar, who, beforehand they were having subpar shitty matches. But then once they had that switch and they had a really great match, so good. His match, I think what Roman is really good at is storytelling. And I think Roman, I think when all said and done, no matter what the result is, Roman's title run should be considered at least one of the better runs of the 2020s, because Roman, do I think maybe he could have been booked a lot stronger and maybe had more of a Gunther-like run where he's just obliterating everybody like Thanos with no help? Yeah, sure. But I really like the mafia type thing gimmick of the last 3 years. And, it's like every time you think it's getting stale, they always inject something into it to give it more life. I think Roman, at the end of the day, I will always praise his run for what it did. However, and I view it as this, and you can have him break Hogan's record, which sure, fine. It would be capping would this put him on the level of Hogan in the sense of fans will feel like that keeping the belt on him this little bit longer than maybe it should be, is it going to hurt him in the long term? Even though it'll benefit him, in terms of breaking Hogan's record, is this going to affect the company and him negatively, is where I'm kind of maybe trying to view it as, because you have Roman break Hogan's record. Okay, great. And yeah, you could have that moment in Madison Square Garden no matter what, but I just feel like it just feels so much of, there's just so many circumstances right now that I just feel like it's just really gonna, I don't know. And I think Cody winning, I think, will be beneficial in the long term, but it's a main event that can go either way. It really can. And I think that's what makes it really exciting, is that it can go either way. Yeah. And And I think realistically, I think that it's going to be a fun show no matter what. And I always view it as like, look, we don't have to agree on everything, but all I want is a fun show to watch, fun talking about it. I think that's maybe where I kind of just view it as right now.
Yep.
I
Well,
also, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I also want to add, like, I remember when Roman Reigns back in 2013, where he won the Philadelphia Royal Rumble and how he got booed and everything. And you look back at the early days, Vince McMahon didn't really know what to do with him. He had the it factor. They just didn't know. They didn't have a direction, and a lot of credit that's been going on with the Bloodline, Roman Reigns. That goes to Paul Heyman. I mean, Paul Heyman is one of the greatest minds in wrestling, and like, look what he did in 4.5 years of Roman Reigns, compared to where Roman Reigns was from 2013 beforehand. It's like, when he rolled up in WrestleMania 31 to fight Brock Lesnar, he was still in the Shield gear. He still had the Shield music. He didn't know how to cut good promos. He was too busy, probably have Vince McMahon in his ear, other people in his eir telling him, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to be, that's how you got to say things. And technically, they sabotage a lot of the stuff that they try to do for him. My opinion, he should have been the one that broke up the Shield. He should have been the one that been the heel in the beginning, because Roman Reigns needs to be that asshole than a nice guy. Like John Cena can play a nice guy. I think they tried to make him more like the John Cena because that's what John Cena was, but he's not John Cena. He has to be something that's more him. And I don't think without Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns would be what he is today without Paul Heyman. And I do feel like part of the reason why we haven't seen much of him is because either one, he's still battling with some kind of leukemia effects or something going on, or two, his new contract with Vince before Vince left was, hey, we want to make you more like Brock Lesnar's contract, so you don't go and do Hollywood. I don't know. It could be one or the other.
Yeah, what I think what really hurt Reigns more than anything when during initial push, because that first Royal Rumble where not the one he won, but the one before, the fans were super behind him. What got the fans to turn on him is he got injured and he came back and he won that Slammy for Superstar of the Year over Daniel Bryan because they were trying to fast track to get back on track his WrestleMania push. And then they had Bryan coming back before WrestleMania to pass the torch to him. Again, you don't do that with the hottest superstar since the Attitude Era, which Daniel Bryan was. That turned the fans on Roman. If Bryan had sat out until after WrestleMania and just let Roman, get the Rumble win and get the WrestleMania win, and just came in and be like his buddy and going forward, they would have been fine with Roman. WWE sabotaged it. They just screwed the pooch on him. Him and Sasha Banks. I think I've never seen the company screw just botch the build on two people. And just massively because they had Sasha just sitting there for 2 years with Bailey just in limbo doing nothing, and then two superstars you can look back on and just be like, what the fuck did they do? And it's just apparent that they screwed it. They screwed those decisions just ruin him from the beginning and just set the fans against him. But here we're at the end. I need to go back and get some answers from y'all because it's been a big conversation here. So we're all in agreement that Cody's going to win the title.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Will an unexpected person interfere? Nobody from the bloodline, like a Cena or a Hogan or a Austin or somebody like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so. I'm predicting that.
Okay. Will Rock turn on Roman?
No, I don't think so.
Not at WrestleMania, no.
Okay. Will Seth turn on Cody?
No.
No.
Okay. Will Mama Rhodes be seen either night?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I got.
Because ideally, I would see either of those turns happening after WrestleMania. I just can't see I could see Rock turning on Roman after WrestleMania for failing to beat Cody. Like having him lose the title. Rock feels embarrassed because he feels like, well, I went through all this work for nothing. He turns on Roman and says, you need to learn your place. Like, I'm the one at the high table, not you. Like, you say you're the head of the table. Well, guess who? I'm the one that's putting the food on the table because I'm the one that's going out there. I'm the blockbuster star. You're here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the Rock. Like, you're Roman Reigns. Learn your place.
It would be silly, but you think there's a possibility that Rock could have been working with Cody the whole time, and him being like, I did this to screw you over, Roman, because you thought you're too big for your britches, and here at the end of the day, we Mama Rhodes, Cody, me, we were all in it, and I'm the head of the table.
It's like I have biscuits with Cody's mom every Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Austin, you're right about one thing. I think that could be purposely why we haven't seen much Roman is that The Rock is just to set that seeds for their feud for next year's WrestleMania, where like I said, like if Roman loses, The Rock's gonna turn on Roman because, like you said, like The Rock was the one who set all this up. I did this for you, I did that for you, all these different things while you sat in the back, do nothing, and I'm out there every night while you're doing whatever else. So, because I do think The Rock wants to stay as a heel. After WrestleMania 40.
I wouldn't blame him. He's really like, I think he's in his element right now.
Yeah. I would also add that as well. The bloodline has rejuvenated The Rock in his career. Like, I don't know if you watched that Roman Reigns A&E biography that came out last weekend. But Roman, even like you mentioned, like some of the stuff you mentioned, Roman and mentioned that the bloodline faction, the idea has really made, his family stars, like the Usos are like, you now know who Jay and Jimmy are by their personalities versus just them being a tag team. Solo got something out of it. Sami Zayn, like you mentioned, got something out of it. Roman's gotten something out of it. Like, and now The Rock's gotten something out of it. Like this whole faction thing has really done a great job for each and every one of them. I mean, I do feel like Paul Heyman had a little more of like, he might say he didn't, but I do think that Paul, because if you see some of that Roman Reigns documentary that came out last week, you see a lot of Paul Heyman before the whole bloodline and stuff, where like the early days of Roman, you see Paul Heyman kind of being in Roman's ear a little bit. So you definitely see the two of them while he was with Brock Lesnar really work together on the side here and there. So I do feel like Heyman had a lot of, and it makes sense why Roman's the one going to induct him, because I don't think what we're seeing now is not without Paul Heyman.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, because I know there was a lot of other people that could have maybe inducted Paul Heyman, but like realistically, Brock wasn't going to do it because the allegations, plus Brock's not somebody who would do a speech for anybody. I don't think any of the ECW guys would do it because that's kind of an opening up a can of worms there.
Yeah.
So Roman, I think, is more the ideal person. I know a lot of people are like, oh, really, Roman Reigns, but it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, realistically, I guess maybe a CM Punk could have been cool, but it's like,
he just got back, and I think right now it's more of like he's just trying to get everybody's good grace again with WWE. Yeah. I think right now he's back, but he's really trying to show like, look, don't believe everything you're hearing from AEW about me. Like that's not all true, and just really trying to prove that he's not what's been made out to be about his reputation from AEW.
Yeah, and speaking of that, towards the as we're wrapping up here, let's talk about the CM Punk interview. But I really want to talk about the AEW portion because, like, a lot of it, like when he was talking about the non-AEW stuff, was more like the typical question answer. He was asked about Vince, he was asked about that, but I thought the AEW thing was really interesting because Punk going on Ariel Hawani's podcast and talk about AEW, the amount he did. I was very surprised. Like hearing a little bit like his side of the story. Again, how much of it is true, we don't know, but we at least kind of get his side of the story of what happened during his AEW run, and basically just talking about the backstage management of AEW and just like the overall like feeling he got from it. And in Punk's defense, and I'm going to say this to AEW's credit too, because I'm going to try to go with the yin and the yang here and try to look at both sides. What Punk said in the interview was not completely wrong. I think Punk's right. I think AEW, and I've seen AEW, like what Punk's interview did is this really brought out the really worst tribalists in wrestling, because you have the pro AEW crowds like, no, Punk is wrong. You turned on us. You did this. You did that. Whereas WWE's like, nope, he's right. They're both right, and they're both in the wrong. I think Punk is right in the sense that I think AEW still has that indie mindset, which they really need to get out of, and they need to start making money, because it's when you're signing all these names and you're not really doing anything with them, and also you're not taking it as seriously as you would hope for like a multi-million-dollar company. I mean, Punk's right, and there needs to be real leadership there. And I'm not saying Tony Khan hasn't tried to be a leader. I think he has tried to be a leader, but they need to have a strong leader there to say, look, you can do this, but you can't do that. Like, they need somebody there to be very strict with them, and they need to have some sort of somebody backstage to be the locker room leader, because I know that Bryan Danielson has tried on social media to like keep the social media stuff in check, because it feels more like right now the inmates are running the asylum, and they need to have somebody there to, because that's why a lot of the shit happened with Punk and the Elite and Jack Perry to begin with, is because there's nobody there to say, look, you need to cut that shit out, or we need to solve this beef. Because I realistically think that if all this beef was squashed before All In or like the media scrum, honestly, Punk would still be in AEW right now. All of this could have been avoidable. But you have the inmates running the asylum. You have Hangman Adam Page doing that promo where he went into business for himself, which then led to Punk going into business for himself, which led to a locker room fight, which basically split the whole roster.
But
go ahead.
Did Punk even go in for himself during the media scrum, because he was answering a question that somebody had brought up about Colt Cabana, which had been brought up by Adam Page. So he was just defending himself. He wasn't going into business for himself.
Well, what I mean by that is like he wasn't asked about Colt Cabana at all. He just went in there and like he saw Nick Hausman of Wrestling Inc., I think, and he basically just went, no, fuck you. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not friends with Colt Cabana. Like, I don't like him. I think the Elite are idiots. And so in a way he did go into business for himself, but I also understand his mindset during that match. Cause like he was probably like, cause he just re-injured himself. Like, you know, he felt he was frustrated and he basically was just upset. But that also, I feel like there really needs to be better backstage management. He basically talked about the Jack Perry thing at All In, it was All In last year, where Jack Perry, where basically I think you guys already know, but just to give a quick recap, Jack Perry wanted to use real glass on Collision, and everyone told him no. So I think somebody told CM Punk to tell Jack Perry no, and then I guess Jack Perry got really upset at that. So then during his match with Hook, he said, "Oh, this is real glass, cry me a river," which led to Punk getting upset, and they had a verbal confrontation. And in CM Punk's words, he choked Jack Perry out, which I thought was amusing.
And somehow his dog was involved.
Oh yeah, Larry's always involved.
Yeah. So.
But and then what's really telling here is because Punk actually quit. Tony Khan didn't fire him. In Punk's words, he basically told Tony Khan that he's an idiot and that he quit. And like he basically went out to face Samoa Joe because he did it for Joe and the boys, and he knew that it was going to be his last time facing Joe. So he did business, but he basically quit on the spot. He was like, nope, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's, again, how much of that's true, I don't know, because it's more of he said, she said at this point, because Tony Khan's saying, well, you know, I was in danger of my life, whereas CM Punk's saying, no, that wasn't the case. He's just a fucking idiot, and then I quit. So we don't really know what happened. We're probably never going to know what happened, but it's just really telling just how mismanaged AEW is. And the one thing that I'll always give WWE this, I think like you don't really hear about these backstage altercations in WWE because they have a tight ship and they're more professional. Whereas I think AEW, the problem is they're kind of lacking that professionality that would really need to make a multi-million-dollar business. And, you know, especially like, and I just feel like that AEW really needs to, like, I will praise AEW for this, as that I appreciate that AEW is a major, is the second promotion. Like, I'm glad that there's some competition again. And I think that AEW does excel at things that WWE doesn't. But AEW really needs to take that interview from CM Punk, and I think we were talking about this backstage before, Rome, is what AEW should have done is they should have just ignored it. And instead, they went out on TV, they had Adam Copeland, they had various wrestlers come out and they praised AEW. They basically took pot shots at CM Punk, like the Bucks were we're referencing Jack Perry and like scapegoat liking what you're doing. I just feel like it's childish. Like, it's really is. And granted, WWE is not any better because they have done this recently too. They're now taking pot shots at AEW, and that's fine. I think both sides can do it. But I think AEW right now, they need to take a step back and they need to say, okay, what do we need to do to improve our business model? Because right now, their business model is not really working. Like, they're not. No. I think that, granted, I'm not saying it's as bad as I think we're like. It's not like a TNA, right? Like, it's not. They're not going down that sinking ship yet.
I feel like they're in the WCW kind of stage, because this is what WCW was. Like, my biggest takeaway from Punk's interview was the fact that Tony Khan is asking wrestlers to manage other wrestlers. Yeah. That's what WCW was, and that's what led WCW to like being out of business. You don't want other wrestlers managing other wrestlers. Like, no, you want somebody like maybe like a Tommy Dreamer or somebody who's already retired, but he's in that position where like that. I want to say like a Triple H type role, but just not like the creative CEO, but just like that retired wrestler who's been through it all, knows it all, and really can kind of facilitate everybody. Than having somebody like, hey, Punk, we need your help with this, or hey, Edge, we need you to help out with this. Like, it shouldn't be another wrestler overseeing another wrestler. That's what WCW was, and that's what caused them to be out of business.
Yeah,
I don't get it. They got Arn Anderson right there. They got Jake Roberts right there. They had Tully Blanchard right there. They had all these older fellas, legends of the business, come in. They had Sting. They had so many guys. So many guys that could have, but it's the same thing in WWE in a way, because they had all these guys, former wrestlers that were doing the booking and stuff, and then they come in to bring in all the soap opera actors, writers, and they just push the legends off to the side, and like you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to create a television show, so it's kind of the same deal in a way, but they had the people there that could control the show and the business. And, TNA has issues in several areas, including, especially, we talked about this before, Austin, the video game, how they're handling the DLC after the poor performance of the game coming out. They're charging $12 a pop for one wrestler DLC. It's insane. It's insane. The Tony Storm, they released a couple months back an outdated model. It wasn't even her current gimmick. $12 just for her. It's I don't understand what they're doing in some cases. I don't get it.
It's just right. It's mismanagement, and I think Tony Khan is starting to make steps in that direction, but I just don't want it to be a situation where it's too little too late, because I will always, because I think I've seen someone say this and I agree with the statement. I will always appreciate the fact that AEW is the second promotion, is the major competitor to WWE. Like, because we haven't had that in so long that it actually feels nice to have that alternative. But in order to be taken seriously, you have to start acting like a business. You have to start acting like a real company here, because you can't just let the inmates run the asylum, because then shit like what happened with CM Punk happens.
And you can't rest on the laurels of, hey, we sold out Wembley Stadium. I mean, that only goes so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would add is that Punk wanted to wrestle the Young Bucks. He wanted to wrestle Kenny Omega. That's part of the reason why he signed up with AEW, because he wanted to work with some guys that he's heard so much about. And he hasn't wrestled Samoa Joe until his since his Ring of Honor days. So that's another thing. It's like he did want to go there. I just think somewhere along the way, either jealousy came into effect, or they just didn't like how Punk handled himself. Who knows what was the other side of the story? I just think that Punk going into AEW was really good for their business. I mean, he gave us a great promo with MJF, which is phenomenal, that you still find on YouTube, that he cut with MJF. I just think the way they're being run right now, it's like they just don't have a direction. You have Tony Khan, who just wants to be more likable than just being an actual boss. I'm not saying Punk was right that he's not a boss, but I think that he needs to be the one that kind of sets the tone of how this company is running. Than just, hey, let's split up two brands, or let's do this, let's do that, let's put more money into this. That'll solve the problem. It's like you could throw more money into things, but you're still gonna have more problems. I mean, they get more leaks. There's more leaks about AEW than anything right now outside of WWF. It's like, I mean, WWE. It's just like, they can't really control anybody with what they're saying out there. And then you have Dave Meltzer, who, I'm sorry, I feel like he inserted himself into AEW as well, because it's like they're more focused on, let's get those 5-star matches and trying to bring in, half the people in to see these matches. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like they're just bringing guys in and not know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Which is what WCW was doing when back in their heyday, where like they brought in a guy like Bret Hart. They didn't know what to do with Bret Hart. They brought in another guy like, Goldberg, and it's like, Goldberg was great, but they didn't know what to do with him after his streak. They didn't, there's just so many things that WCW was doing back in the day. They just didn't know how to use their characters or their guys. They had Chris Jericho at one point. They had Rey Mysterio at one point. They had so many other great guys that are legends now. They didn't know how to use them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you some AEW question. I don't keep up with them as much as I should. But is MJF, did he re-up his contract?
Don't know.
I'm more under the impression that he is, but they're just trying to. I think they're trying to tell that story of like, well, the bidding war of 2024. Now that MJF's hurt, they can kind of like have that. Oh, is he going to WWE? Is he going to AEW? Like, where's he going?
Yeah, supposedly they removed him from the website, and there's still rumors that he may pop up during the main event at WrestleMania. I don't see, because there's not a lot of room for him in WWE, so I don't see that happening.
Well, and also he's still injured too, so we don't know how his rehab is going. We don't know if he's healing up well. So I don't think he's going to show up at WrestleMania. I think that's more of a.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be more likely for like a Dustin Rhodes to show up than like MJF would.
That would be neat.
If he does show up, it'll be like the post WrestleMania on Raw or something. Like Raw is like the post. It is after WrestleMania. The next night on Raw is like the must watch Raw of the year, because that's the new season for WWE. So I think he did resign. I remember hearing a story that he re-signed with AEW and he got more like creative control or something. So right now they really need him back in AEW, at least cut some promos, even if he's injured. Like the fact that he's not there is really hurting their brand, because they really need somebody who knows how to tell stories. Because he's their best promo guy that they have.
Do you think that Tony would let Dustin go, to be a part of that match?
I don't think so.
No, Tony and WWE don't get along at all. Like, I mean, I could see it maybe happening if as like a favor to Cody to have him there, because like I'm pretty sure Tony and Cody probably still get along, and they at least talk somewhat. But I could see it as maybe a favor to him, but I don't think I could see Tony Khan willingly let Dustin go.
I mean, if the story is true about Punk saying that they're mad that he went to go see his friend Bailey at a WWE event, I don't know. I just don't think they will send anybody over from AEW to like help Cody or whatever. I just don't see it.
No, I don't see it either. And it's just, I feel like it sucks. It really does. I really wish that there's a little bit more functionality with both. I think that they both could easily just figure this shit out, but what can you do? All right, so we are near the 2-hour mark. This is a good show, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So big weekend again this weekend. We have the Hall of Fame tonight. Well, we also have Super Card of Honor tonight, but I don't think a lot of people are going to watch that. Stand and Deliver and the NXT shows tomorrow, and then WrestleMania night 1, then night 2 on Sunday. Massive stuff. Lots and lots of stuff.
Who's going to win the Battle Royal?
Does anybody really even care about the Battle Royal anymore? Like, I don't
Who's
even think
even in the Battle Royal? I mean, maybe Shinsuke Nakamura, because I mean they have nothing for him to do. I feel bad for him. I feel like he should be somewhere in the card, but
maybe like Bronson Reed, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Braun Breaker or whoever. I don't know.
Braun Breaker wouldn't be a bad choice. I think a Braun Breaker could maybe, like, even though the trophy's not really going to do much, I think, like, at least saying, like, hey, like, I got this massive accomplishment would be a nice feather. Would be a nice, like, way to kind of elevate him a little bit.
They should let Nia win it.
You know what? Hey, that would be a really random, but honestly very cool thing if they ever did that. I wouldn't hate that, to be honest. Alrighty, guys. We are gonna call it here. I want to thank everybody who came in the chat. Christopher Johnson, Shadow, and Cricket. I appreciate you guys for coming in. I'm gonna let everybody go around the panel, tell everybody where they can find themselves at. We'll start with Rome. Where can they find you at, man?
They can find me at my channel, Rome's. I do a lot of movie reviews and stuff like that. I'm also on the Cool Kids channel, which they'll be doing, I think, their Monkey Man review tomorrow at 2:00, so you can stay tuned for that. I won't be on there because it's WrestleMania weekend, and I'm excited for WrestleMania.
Yeah. Same here, man. Shifty, where can they find you at?
You can find me on the Twitter. That's Shifty GISM. That's Shiftygism at on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. I talk about nerd shit and usually get into arguments. Yeah, so you maybe want to not do that, but you can also find me every Wednesday night in the chat for the Hangout with Guy Scar, the Basco scenario, which Austinator, he's part of the crew on there. Good show, can't miss. And then you can find me Sunday nights over on Hanstar's channel or Chris's channel for the weekly wrap up where we play Jackbox games. And sooner or later we're going to be getting Name That Tune up and running again, and I got to defend my title.
Awesome. Glad to see you guys are doing that again, because there's like a really long stretch where you guys just stopped due to I think Chris had a lot of technical issues.
Yeah, we're still having some bumps in the road here. We got to get his computer fixed, but hopefully things will work out by sometime this summer.
But at least you guys are starting up again, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much what everyone said. I'm pretty much just here. You can find me on the Hangout on Wednesdays. I'm on the Cool Kids channel. You can sometimes on Robert Storm's channel. I'm just everywhere. Just check me out, guys. I'll put everybody's links in the description afterwards. So yeah, that about does it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. This is the Austinator signing out.
Later.
Peace.
That's awesome.